Well, as promised, we're going to talk to a very interesting lady. She's just come up with this extraordinary book called The Australian Ghost Whisperer. Her name is Caterina Ligato. She is a psychic, she is a medium, she is an exorcist, and she has helped so many people over the years. And it's a fascinating story of personal life and also some testimonies from people that she's helped. And she's joined us on the line from Sydney. Hello, Caterina. Welcome.
Hello, Pat. Thank you very much for having me on your show.
Love to have you, and it's a fascinating book. We opened the door last year with my friend Barry Eaton and his book Afterlife. Mm-hmm. What fascinates me is that there are so many people who are so negative and will not open their minds to the possibility that there is life after death, or an afterlife, a spirit life, if you like.
It's sad, isn't it? It's a shame that there are some people that are limiting themselves by not accepting that there is an afterlife, that there is a spirit realm, and our souls, our spirits, once we're finished with our physical incarnation, is what transfers over back into the spirit world. I think sometimes it's a lot of fear with people. Maybe they're a bit afraid because, you know, there's a lot of horror movies and things like that have depicted, you know, ghosts and spirits, and it's not really like that at all.
No, it's quite fascinating when you go back in history, of course, because, I mean, some of those very earlier civilizations believed in reincarnation. They believed in the spirit world. And yet, you know, there seems to be this whole gap between then and now, if you like, where people, as you say, I think probably are a bit frightened. And, you know, I have a friend who is so negative. We were talking about the afterlife the other day, and I said, oh, we were talking about spirits, and he said, oh, no, it's a load of bunkum. As soon as you die, that's the end of it. And I said, Peter, I'm going to be there to say to you and welcome you and say, well, I told you so. And he said, there's not much chance of that.
Yeah, oh, goodness me. I know. It's sad, isn't it? But I do believe that there is people are becoming a lot more aware, I think, with a lot of the programs that are on TV now, like Ghost Whisperer and Medium. And also a lot of mediums are coming out themselves, and all the shows that are on and the shows that are taking place. I do believe that people are becoming more open and more receptive to the concept of the spirit world and the afterlife. So that's really positive. I don't think it's all really negative.
No. Well, it's interesting when you talk about that, because, I mean, somebody like John Edward, for example, I mean, I know he's got his critics and people say, oh, it's a load of bunkum, people have been around checking up on people. But, I mean, the man has extraordinary talents, and a lot of people are now starting to look at somebody like him and say, well, maybe there is something there. Maybe he is talking to hearing from the other side.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's exactly what he's doing. He's getting a message from someone obviously on the other side, and just delivering that message to the person it concerns. I mean, I think that people like John Edwards and like myself also, we're able to give that proof of, hey, you know, this loved one is still around. This loved one is bringing you a message of things that I couldn't have known anything about. I mean, only this morning I was going to Manly Vale, which is about a 45-minute drive from where I live, to clear a home because one of my clients bought this really antique piano. And she said, oh, Caterina, since we've had this piano in the house, we've been hearing footsteps and things happening, and we're really scared, and we need you to come and see what's going on. And I'm sitting in the car in traffic this morning. It was pouring rain, and I was already connecting with the old man to whom the piano belonged to, and he was hanging around his piano, and he's saying to me in the car, no, I'm not crossing over, I'm not going, I'm not leaving my piano. Anyway, when I got to my client's house, I said, did an old man own this piano? And she says, yep. I go, okay, he's been talking to me all the way in the car. So, I mean, there's the proof, and there he was. I mean, took a bit, but I helped him to cross over, and once he was there, he was fine. But there's the proof of, I mean, I had no idea where the piano came from, and I had no idea who the piano belonged to. But it's things like this where I think there's a lot more proof, there's a lot more evidence of the spirit world.
Oh, indeed so. It's funny you should say that, because I always remember I got a cedar chiffonier in my dining room, and when my wife was here, it used to groan a lot. When she left 13 years ago, it stopped groaning.
There you go.
The ghost went with her.
That's right.
Very funny that. I was rather pleased, quite frankly. I got fed up with the damn thing. All right, let's go back. Talk about psychic Do you believe that everybody is born with psychic abilities and
I believe everybody has a level of
Yeah.
intuition, some more than others.
It's learning to
absolutely.
use it, though, isn't it?
It's really important to trust it, I think. We're constantly using it. It's just sometimes you're not even aware that you're using it.
Uh-huh.
But it's trusting that inner voice that, maybe you're kind of going to work in your usual routine and there's this feeling of take another detour today, and then you kind of realise, oh wow, I should have listened to that voice, that nudge that was telling me to go another way because you've hit some sort of an accident or a traffic jam or something like that. So our intuition is always with us. We're always connected to that inner voice. It's just trusting it. A lot of people have a hard time trusting it.
Yeah, well, we talk about it, of course, as the sixth sense, don't we, to a
That's
certain
right.
extent?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, you were very young when you first discovered that you had some interesting powers that your kids, fellow kids, didn't have.
No. Well, like I've said many times before, as far back as I can remember, as a young child, I was having conversations with the spirits of Aborigines and the convicts and an assortment of people that I didn't even know who they were. And I was too young to even sometimes try and figure out what they were trying to say to me. It wasn't until I obviously grew older that I realised that these were people who were actually in spirit form, and not everyone else could see them the way I could see them. So it was a difficult time. It was quite challenging, but at the same time, I feel looking back like, wow, that's a huge thing to happen to anyone, and to have the privilege of actually being able to see something, and that is just amazing.
Did it put pressure on you?
Look, it put pressure on me when, I guess, as I became a teenager, I just wanted to be like everybody else. I just wanted to go out and have fun and go to movies and go to dances, and I didn't always want this other world bugging me, and they were always in my ear, and so, yeah, it did. And then obviously word spreads, and and I had, older kids sort of asking me about their boyfriends or their girlfriends, and they began asking me questions. I mean, it kind of word spreads like fire when anybody's got something of a bit of an unusual gift. And I even had mothers waiting for me after school, nudging me on the shoulder going, oh, Caterina, I've heard about you've got this sort of power, and can I ask you something? And it's like, oh my God.
Here we go. Here we go.
But look, it was fun, and if I was able to bring peace or a resolution to someone, then that's fantastic. And I believe this was my journey, and this is what I've come here to do.
Now, of course, you were brought up a Roman Catholic. I'm not sure the Church would necessarily approve of what you do.
No, unfortunately. Look, I think that, I think with the churches, like a lot of organised religion, they're very anti any of this. Yet, and I think that what they're trying to do is perhaps protect their people, because there are a lot of charlatans that claim that they're doing this kind of thing when they're not. And maybe that's where I think that they are so, against it. But in hindsight, I think it would be nice if they could be more open and more receptive to those of us that are truly genuine, and those of us who can give the proof of our healing, of the work that we've done.